Hey everybody, today we are talking about My Brilliant Life, the novel version versus the movie version. So if you haven't watched my other video just reviewing the book, you might want to watch that first, especially if you're trying to avoid spoilers, because since I am talking about the movie and the book, I'm going to be saying a few more details in this one so that we can compare them properly. So if you don't want to really get any of the bigger spoilers of this book, then definitely either go read it real quick and then come back to this, or watch the other video that I made of this that I was spoiler free for. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with this one. When I found out that this had an adaptation for the book, I hadn't read the book yet. I noticed that the title, and I was like, I think I have a book that is called that. And sure enough, yes, it was the same story, the same thing. So I read the book, and then a couple weeks later, I watched the movie, and I must say, I think they did a very good job at staying true to the story. They reordered things a little bit. In the book, we learn a little bit more about our main character, Arum. I'm not really sure how to say it, and I feel like in the movie, the way they pronounced it was different than how I was thinking it was, and now I can't remember exactly how they said it. So yes, but this boy, it's in his perspective, and he was telling us the story of his parents, how they met, how he came to be, and so we get a lot of background on his parents before we get too much background on himself. We know that he loves to read, and that he's very intelligent for his age, being only 16, and getting close to his 17th birthday. And in the movie version, it starts right away with this show that he was on. And the show is introduced in the book kind of right before the midway point. And the show is a way for viewers to be able to learn about a story about someone who needs help, and then they can choose to donate money to whoever the person was on the episode for their care, to help them for hospital bills or medicine or anything that they need to help them get better. And the movie just starts like right out with that, and then it kind of goes from there. And so it's not the same timeline order as the book. A lot of adaptations do that. Other than that, I mean, they had a lot of direct quotes from the dialogue from this in the movie. They did a really good job with making him a really likable character, really lovable boy, and the parents were portrayed really well as well. And his funny neighbor, who's like in his 60s, he's really funny too, and they're like friends. Just even though the age gap is really large, in a way it's not, because since Arum has progeria, he's basically like 80 in this 16-year-old body, and so in a way he's older than his 60-year-old neighbor. So they have this kind of fun relationship, and yeah, so they did a really good job portraying that part of the movie as well. There is one part that this is definitely getting spoiler territory, so if you haven't watched this and you don't want me to give things away, go watch the movie first, and pause here, and then go watch the movie and come back. So, he gets a pen pal, and because of the show, he ends up having a pen pal, and he's a little hesitant to respond because he's like, what if this person's just making fun of me, or what if this person doesn't really care, or maybe I should just say thanks and then be done with it and not worry about it. But it's from a girl, and who says she's also sick with something different, and that she just really wanted to connect. And so he's like, okay, I'll respond. And so he does respond very formally, but then he thinks that's gonna be it, and then she responds back. And so then they slowly start responding back and forth, and that becomes one of his favorite things of the day, is to wake up and see if he has an email and to be able to respond to the email. They share songs with each other. They just start having a really good connection over technology. And he doesn't know what she looks like, and he thinks that's kind of unfair because, I mean, he was on the show, so she knows what he looks like. And he finally gets the courage to ask for a picture, and she just sends a picture of her hand. And so she's like, I'm sorry, I know this is probably not what you want. This is what I can give you right now. And so he's a little disappointed, but at the same time, not, because it makes him feel closer to her anyway. There's some stuff that goes down with this pen pal that is not good, and the outcome of this is actually just really crappy after all. And I feel like it's kind of rushed. The movie is not short. It is like almost 2 hours long, but the pen pal situation seemed very kind of rushed in the movie, whereas in here it lingers. It affects him a lot, and you see that in the movie, but I just feel like it didn't seem like it was as important in the movie as it was in the book. But when we get to the end of the movie, the setting is different than like where he actually is in the book versus the movie is different, but the dialogue is like spot on, very accurate to the book, and brings in the, like, it just brings it home, and it makes it really good. There's only a couple ways that a story like this can go when you have a child who is sick. He either gets better or he doesn't. And in this book, I had a feeling I knew where it was going to go, and I started to get emotional and started to feel like the tears were coming, but they never actually came when I was reading. But then when I watched the movie, I was a total mess. Like, I had tears streaming down my face. Like, I was literally a mess. And no one was around, so I didn't have to feel like I needed to hold back or anything, because I don't know about you, but sometimes in like movie theaters, when a sad part comes, you're probably more self-conscious of all the people around you, so you try not to cry too loudly because you don't want other people to hear you, and so you kind of try to hold it in and let it be like a quiet cry. I didn't need to do that in this situation, because when I was watching it, I was alone, and so I could really just give in to the feelings that it was giving me, and I cried like 3 separate times, and just a lot at the end. It was just really, really good, and it just did the book justice for keeping it the same, having the same ending, nearly the same, with just the exception of the place. The setting was different, but not a big deal really, because the main important parts were still the same. And so I think it did a lovely job. If you would like to watch this, maybe watch it with someone that you don't care if you cry in front of them, if you or maybe just give yourself some alone time to watch this, so that you can just let yourself really be fully into it. And knowing what was going to happen from reading this first, I don't think that even affected it at all, because again, it actually hit me harder than it did when I read the book. So this only like enhanced my feelings and my reaction to the movie version of it. So yeah, overall it was a really well done film, and to a really good book, and I definitely recommend doing both. But just because of my reaction with the movie, if you don't think you have time for both, then maybe just watch the movie, because and then if you really like the movie, it won't be too hard going to the book afterwards, because like I said, they're not too different to where you feel like you're reading a completely different thing. It's not going to be that way. So you could probably do them in either order and still have a really good experience. So yeah, definitely check this out if you have the time and you would like to see or learn a little bit more about progeria. It is something that's pretty rare, and so we don't see it very often. At least I haven't encountered it except for maybe on like clips in social media and stuff here and there, but I've never known anyone with this, so I think it's definitely something worth learning more about if you haven't learned about it before or really know too much about it. But yeah, so highly recommend both versions, both adaptations of this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.